Math is fun, you can do it. So hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we will be discussing about another topic entitled types of proportions. This lesson is under your one of the lessons in business mathematics. So let's get started. So in today's video, we will be discussing types of proportions. Now, you have this lesson already when you were still in junior high. And it is one of the topics in business mathematics. So let's start. So types of proportions. So let's start with the objectives. Okay. So at the end of this video lesson, you are expected to K for knowledge. Under knowledge domain, you have defined proportions and enumerate its kinds. For under skill domain, you have write real life situations depicting the different kinds of proportion. And the affective domain, you have to appreciate the application of proportions in real life. Okay, so let's have a quick recall. So basically, you know already the definition of proportions based on our first video lessons. You have a ratio. Remember that a ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division, or and the proportion is an equality of ratios. Okay, so this time let's have a pretest. So for the pretest, you have to answer this in your activity notebook. You have test whether the following pairs of ratios are proportion or not. You have experienced this kind of test before. Okay? This time you're going to do the same because it is a kind of extended proportion. We are dealing with three ratios in one proportion. So write your answer in your notebook. Number 1. You have 12 over 24 and 312 over 424 and 3 over 4. You have to show your solution before you will say or state that it's a proportion or not proportion. Number 2, 3 over 2 and 183 over 82 and 18 over 8. Number 3, 6 over 9 and 26 over 39 and 24 over 33. Number 4, 4 over 2 and 204 over 62 and 20 over 6. Number 5, 4 over 3 and 164 over 123 and 16 over 12. Okay. Now, let us discuss. Now, what is meant by a proportion again? Okay. You have here a statement that the two ratios are equal is what we call proportion. Now, if both are two equal ratios, then the statement is called a proportion. Each of the four numbers in a proportion is called a term of the proportion. So this is just simply a quick review. Okay? From A is the first term, B is the second term, C is the third term, and D is the fourth term. The first and fourth terms are called the extremes. The second and the third terms are called the means. Now, let's have an example. Now, for example, number 1, if the proportion 5 over 6 is equal to 105 over 126 is equal to 10 over 12. Name the four terms, the means, and the extremes. We have there the solution. The first term, you have 5. The second term is 6. The third term is 10. The fourth term is 12. We disregard the one at the middle. Okay, we are talking about the two ratios at the sides. So the two ratios are equivalent / proportion. if they express the same relationship between two quantities and these ratios have the same value. Okay, now let's have another example. Okay, let's say 300 miles, number one, or the first example, 300 miles in 6 hours and 250 miles in 5 hours. So you will have, if you're going to express that in ratio 4, you have 100 miles is to 6 hours. We use the colon symbol. Then is equal to 300 divided by 6, that's 50. 6 divided by 6, that's 1. So that's 50 is to 1. Now let's have the other ratio. You have 250 miles is to 5 hours. We'll try. 250 divided by 5 and 5 divided by 5. So you have 50 over 1. The ratios simplify to the same value, which is 50, because 50 divided by 1 is 50. Hence, they are equivalent. Meaning to say, 330 is to 6 is equal to 250 is to 5. So meaning the two ratios are equal or equivalent, therefore, it is a proportion. Now let's have number 2. You have the ratios simplified to the same value, which is 50. Hence, they are, number 2, again, 500 pesos for 5 pairs of socks are, and 300 pesos for 2 pairs of socks. So you have 500 pesos is to 5 pairs is equal to 500 divided by 5 over 5 divided by 5. That can be simplified into 100 over 1 or 100. Then the other ratio is 300 is to 2 pairs. You have 300 divided by 2 and 2 divided by 2. That will give us 150 over 1. Since the two ratios simplify to different values, therefore they are not equivalent. So they cannot form a proportion. Okay? Let us proceed. So you have the fractions are equivalent or proportion if they have equal values. By multiplying or dividing both the numerator and denominator by the same amount, an equivalent fraction can be obtained. So for example, number 1, 5 over 6 is equal to 10 over x. So if you're going to multiply that by 2, both numerator and denominator, you have 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12. So that will give us, the x there will become 12. Okay? Therefore, you have 10 over x, your x is equal to 12. So, meaning to say, if we are asked to find the value of x, so we can have, or we can find another ratio that is equivalent to 5 over 6. So if you have 5 over 6 is equal to 10 over x, there are other ways in solving that one. You can just do cross multiplication. Okay? So in that way, if you multiply both numerator and denominator by the same number, which is 2, and 5 times 2 is 10, you will multiply also the same number with your denominator, which is 2. Therefore, your x will be 12. Number 2. You have 6 over 12 is equal to 24. So you are going to look at that 24. How does 24 being solved or being obtained? So 24 divided by 6, that's 4, right? So meaning to say 6 has been multiplied by 4 in order to get 24. Therefore, 7 must also be multiplied by 4. So kung whatever number that has been multiplied by the numerator, that's the number, the same number or factor that we're going to multiply to our denominator. So you have 6 times 4 is 24, 7 times 4, that will give us 28. Therefore, your x is 28. Therefore, 24 over 28 is equivalent to 6 over 7. Number 3. If you have 7 over 10 is equal to x over 50. Now, have you noticed that this time, the unknown value is in the numerator. The given is in the denominator. We are asked to find what is the value of our x. So, first is let's take a look at 50. The denominators are 10 and 50. So how we obtain 50 from 10? So simply, we multiply 10 by 5 to make 50. So the same is true with our numerator. We will be multiplying 7 by 5. That is 7 times 5, that gives us 35. Okay? Then 10 times 5, that is 50. Therefore, the value of our x is 35. Meaning, 7 over 10 is equivalent to 35 over 50. Okay? Now, let us proceed to the types of proportion. Now, what are the types of proportion? Okay. So, types of proportion, let's have first an example. So, we will be using the inductive method, like presenting an example first before we come up a generalization. So, we have here, if a kilo of rice costs 50 pesos, how come that 10 kilos of rice costs 500 pesos? So this explains that the total cost of rice to be paid is directly proportional to the number of kilos bought. So this is what we call direct proportion. When two variables, say x and y, varying such that as x increases, y also increases. Or as x decreases, y also decreases. Proportionally. That is, the ratio is always the same. Now, the same holds true with the ratio. Okay. Now, let's have an example or problem. So, for instance, 2 boxes of chocolates. Okay, 2 boxes of chocolates cost 180 pesos. How much do 7 boxes of chocolate cost? We have here the solution. The more the boxes, the higher the cost. That is, both quantities are increasing. So we have a direct proportion here. The ratio will be the number of boxes over the cost. Is always the same. That is, the number of boxes over the cost is equal to the number of boxes over the cost. Now, substituting the given values we have, okay? So, 2 boxes of chocolate, you have number of boxes. So, you will write that in the numerator 2. And then it will cost 180 Philippine pesos. So, you have there 180 pesos. Is equal to, you are asked, how much do 7 boxes of chocolates cost? So, you will write 7 in the numerator and then you will write in the denominator cost. Okay? So, therefore, the cost will be equal to 100. You have to cross multiply. That's 180 times 7. Then divide it by 2. So, the answer would be 630 pesos. Okay, that is 180 times 7. So, whatever the answer we divide it by 2, the result is 630 pesos. Okay, I hope that's clear for the example of direct proportion. Let us proceed to the next kind of proportion. Okay, so we'll have, okay, let's have first the example, a scenario that will tell us the kind of proportion. Now, if 2 persons can finish working 6 fish ponds in 3 days, then 6 persons can finish 6 fish ponds in 1 day. Now, what have you noticed with this situation? Again, if 2 persons can finish working 6 fish ponds in 3 days, the 6 persons can finish 6 fish ponds in 1 day. So this shows that the number of days working in 6 fish ponds is indirectly or inversely proportional to the number of persons working. Now, this is indirect or inverse proportion, wherein 2 variables, say x and y, varying such that as x increases, y decreases. Okay? Or as x decreases, y increases proportionally. That is, the product of x and y is always the same. Okay, now this time let's have an example so we can understand it better. Okay, Now, in a t-shirt design factory, 5 employees can finish designing 20 t-shirts in 1 hour. How long will it take 10 people to make 20 designs? Okay, you have the solution. 5 employees over 10 employees is equal to the X hour to finish the design over 1 hour to finish the design. Okay. So we have here that's 5 over 10 is equal to, all you have to do is you cross multiply. You have, that will give us 10x divided by, you cross multiply, that will give us 10x is equal to 5. Then x will be equal to 5 over 10 or 1/2. So you have that half hour. Okay, so we see that the more employees on a job, the less time needed to finish the job to complete. When in an increase or in one quantity results onto a decrease in another, it shows an inverse proportion. Okay, so let us proceed. Now this time, we will have an activity. So write the appropriate proportion statement for the following problems by letting x be the unknown and identify the type of proportion. Write your answers in your notebook. Number 1, Jessa buys 3 bananas for 25.50 pesos or 25 pesos and 50 cents. How much does she have to pay for a dozen of these bananas? Number 2, a typist can finish 4 pages in 6 minutes. How long will it take him to finish 18 pages? Okay, number 3, a menu which serves 5 people requires 3 cups of flour. How many cups of flour are needed for the menu to serve 20 people? Number 4, to finish a certain job in 8 days, 6 workers are needed. If it is required to finish the same job in 2 days advance, how many workers have to work? Okay, so you have to answer that in your activity notebook. So I hope that everything is clear. So make sure that you will show your solution before to come up the answer or the answers of these problems. Okay, so that would be all in this video lesson, and to end this video, I'm sorry. So I have read already number 3 again. Number 3, you have a menu which serves 5 people, requires 3 cups of flour. How many cups of flour are needed for the menu to serve 20 people? Number 4, to finish a certain job in 8 days, 6 workers are needed. If it is required to finish the same job in 2 days advance, how many workers have to work? Okay, so you have to answer all the 4 problems and make sure you have a complete solution for each problem. So I hope you are enjoying this lesson. And to end this video, let's have a code. Okay, so we have here a math code which goes, mathematics is the most beautiful and powerful creation of the human spirit. So that would be all. Thank you so much, and please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Bye.